Hey, what's up? John Sonmez here from simpleprogrammer.com. So I wanted to introduce you to guys today to a good friend of mine, Jason Humphrey, who is actually someone who can probably answer a lot of your questions about boot camps, specifically about the Thinkful Bootcamp, which is one of the boot camps the boot camp that he's a mentor at. So if you sign up to join Thinkful, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on, but he's one of the guys that you could be working with that could be mentoring you as you're going through this coding boot camp. So welcome, Jason.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here. It's an exciting time, especially for boot camps.
Yeah. It's funny. Boot camps have kind of been getting, like, people have been kind of scared lately, right? Because like two of the big boot camps shut down and everything. But I don't know. What do you think about that whole thing going on?
It's interesting because I've got friends even on my Entre Programmers team that are used to work at some of those boot camps, and I've seen the hype where everything was going great for every boot camp, and then I've seen downturns where it's like a bunch of the top 10s are going down all of a sudden. Specifically, I can think of like Iron Yard is one that I know scared a lot of people around here.
Right.
But my thought to it all is like, you will find the successful ones, and you'll know why as soon as you get in them. And that's not to say that things that weren't successful were unsuccessful for any specific reasons, but the business model in like somewhere like Thinkful is sustainable. I know some of the other places kind of tried to do it with low numbers and they had a hard time, but it never came down to they didn't learn the right content. They were still finding jobs there as well as they were finding jobs in Thinkful. And so that's where I saw the scare, but it was all around kind of business models, I felt like. And it wasn't around the teaching. People were learning the same stuff and they were able to get jobs at the same rate, I felt like. But that scared a lot of people away from boot camps. But that's no reason to be scared from boot camps. They're very successful, and I've had over now about 35 successful students that I've physically walked through the entire program at Thinkful to jobs in my 3 years in doing it.
So I mean, I think you put it really well. Like it's the business model sometimes that's the failure. It's like it's not that. I think a lot of people were panicking and saying, "Oh, that's because boot camps don't work because you can't really teach someone how to program in 3 months or 6 months or a year. It takes years and years to get a job and to really learn how to be a programmer." And while I agree to some degree that it definitely takes some time to become a good programmer, like an experienced programmer takes experience, but to get a job, I mean, to learn what you need to do certainly can be done. It's hard to do it in 3 months, but it can be done in 3 months, and that's the thing. It's like I keep on saying that, but now that's why I want to bring you on too, is that you've got the proof of it, right? Because you said 35 students, and so these people that you're coaching, that you're mentoring through Thinkful, they're getting real jobs, right? And
some of my most I got a couple of my most successful students have ended up at Google, Intel, PayPal, and a couple have even then made it to some large startups. But they've gotten the big jobs, they've gotten the mid-sized jobs. My students have I've seen a broader range, and they're getting real jobs doing real things, and it's honestly really exciting to see. I really enjoy it. Like seeing the impact and the change I can have in these people's lives really makes it, it makes it more of a greater impact on my life to see these people succeed. And the jobs here's the one thing I do want to point out with jobs that people don't get is they don't just come automatically after a boot camp. Some people think I get a job, go to boot camp, 6 months, automatic job, right?
Right.
One of my most successful students, who I think you've actually talked to before potentially, ended up at Intel. It took him 4 or 5 months after the boot camp to get to Intel.
Right.
And that's also because I told him that don't grab the first job, grab the job that's right for you. You don't want to be miserable looking for a job 6 months down the road. And so that's pretty common. 3 to 4 months after the boot camp is common to then find the job. If you're really desperate, you can find a job right after and get a low salary and be unhappy, and that happens. But I really encourage my students to find the job right for them, whether it's pairing a previous industry they've had together, like customer relationships or biochemistry or real estate. Pairing that together with their new technology is a great way to go and help find something they're actually going to be passionate and care about and want to do. And that's where generally I see 3 to 4 to even 5 months. But that happens all the time, and it's really nice to see when they get the job they want. It's awesome.
Right. Because when you don't have a job, your job is to look for a job, right? So it's like that is your job, and if it's going to take some time to do that, for especially if you don't have a huge rap sheet of experience on your resume, but if you've got the knowledge and the skill, you're going to find the job. And so have you run into students that have had like real struggles with that, or at least that you've heard of with finding a job after boot camp? If so, like why? Like what did they do wrong?
And so, yes, I have good majority, not a good majority, a slight majority of them have always had trouble, in the sense of you can really teach them this coding. They can get good at projects, they can get good learning stuff, and they can be ready for the job. That doesn't mean they're ready for the interview. And
right.
You prep them for that, but it also doesn't mean everyone's a good speaker, right? You don't, maybe the nerves kick in, or they can't remember stuff on the spot, or they don't have a good routine that morning, so they're eating like McDonald's breakfast and they just feel terrible going in. There's lots of reasons going into the interview that I've seen that have slowed people down from getting the job or not impressing certain employers. But that's one of the biggest things I see slow them down is the interview. And there's a lot of ways around it. Actually, you did a video for something I talked to you about a while back about doing the interview for yourself.
Right. Yep.
That really helps a lot of my students, and I share that video all the time about doing it for yourself, because that helps take off a lot of nerves from them. And then realizing at the same time, it goes right into how I talk about get the job. You want the job for you, not just a job. And so when you're interviewing for yourself, you can release a lot of nerves. You can really be yourself, and that's what people are wanting. I see in the job market now. They want you for you, because you're going to fit in the team. You're going to fit in the culture. And so when my students really start realizing this and start kind of also casting their net very wide and trusting the process, things just start coming together very fast. But I would say the interview part is what slows a lot of students down.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, and that's the approach. It's kind of, I kind of think of it as like almost like relationships too. It's like you don't want to like get so I think some people are like, oh, I need to have a girlfriend or boyfriend, and they're trying to get like, you don't want someone who doesn't actually want to be with you. Like it doesn't, what I mean? It's the same thing with a job. It's like, you don't want a job or that you don't even like, right? Like someone that you don't like and they don't like you. Well, now you got a girlfriend. Okay, well, good job. But it's not going to work out too well. Same thing with a job. It's like when you go to the interview too, it's like you're trying to find out if this is a good pairing, a good relationship, like a place that you'll want to be, and they will actually want to have you there. And if you think of it that way, I think then the nerves are a little bit less, because you're not auditioning, you're sort of speed dating. Like there's a big difference. Like that's a lot more comfortable of a situation, I think, because it's not just you auditioning. Like you're trying to find out if it's a good match.
Yeah. So exactly. And there's something else even in the interviews that I think it gets lost a lot of times. It's just people assume, hey, I got an interview, I failed it. I must not be good at this. I can't do this. And they don't understand or see, down the road that you need to fail at some of these interviews to learn how to interview. You need to learn what it's like when someone puts you on the spot and asks an absolute ridiculous question. Because I've heard a lot of ridiculous questions. It's like, I don't even know the answer to that. But you need to also experience those failures. Like it's part of the process, right? You need to go in these interviews and learn what it's like. It's not going to be magical the first time, right? It never is. You have to actually keep working at it and keep going through these failures, because they will happen, and learn from them and get better.
Right. Exactly. And so what do you think about, like, from the students that you've coached and stuff? I mean, someone who's serious, and I guess we could talk about like how much background they have, or maybe what kind of students that you've had. But if someone is serious about becoming a software developer and they like enroll in a boot camp like Thinkful, realistically, can anyone do this? Like, like, do they have to have background? Like, can someone who just knows nothing, that they work for the Forestry Service and they're like, I want to be a programmer and become a programmer. They enroll in a boot camp and like, Thinkful, was it like 6 months later, can they actually become a programmer and get a job? Like, what does it take?
That's a good question. Yes, to answer it first, yes, anyone can do this. and learn it in the amount of time. Now, does that mean everyone can accomplish it? Not always, because I've seen like sometimes people just can't wrap their head around learning how to code. So it's not like 100% match. It's just you can't just show up and assume it's going to work. But I've seen people come from all walks of life. I've had realtors, I've had bankers, I've had construction workers, I've had biochemists, I've had people straight out of college. I've had, what else have I had? I've had some musicians. I've had a lot of different, broader range of things. And there's nothing stopping anyone from learning this. If you want to put your mind to it and work extremely hard.
Right.
The most successful ones I've had were my hardest workers. I mean, eat, sleep, and dream coding.
Right.
And it's just learning a different way to think. And so I do believe everyone can, but I go back to the point, not necessarily always, because some people just don't wrap their mind around it. But I do believe a majority of people can learn this if they work hard and they study and they practice and maybe try something like Code Wars and do testing on the side while you're learning the content, and going to Q&A sessions at Thinkful, and going to your mentor sessions, and always being prepared and getting the most out of all of it. I think if you tackle it like an animal, like a beast, what is your saying? Like a bulldog? Seriously though, attack it like that. My top 5 students that all ended up with large salaries and a great job, those were, there's a direct correlation. They were my hardest workers by far. Like,
so would you say the correlation is more that they were hard workers, or that they had previous development experience, or is it both? Or
it honestly had nothing to do with previous. I think out of my top 5, only one person had previous development experience.
Wow.
The other 4 did not. They literally tried it out, tested the waters for a couple months in like Code Academy and some of those free things.
Yep.
And jumped down in Thinkful, and we just took it and ran. And and there was they didn't need to have the previous experience. I mean, that helps. But it's funny is half the time when people have previous experience, if it's older experience, they have bad habits. So sometimes it can be harder. But at the same time, we can break those and teach you the good habits. But it is kind of interesting that out of my top 5, only 4 or only 1 had previous experience. And it wasn't like it was heavy experience, but it was way more than anyone else.
Right. Well, yeah. So, okay. So I mean, that's good. I think that's what a lot of people want to know is like, can I actually come in as a genuine newbie and actually come out and be able to get a good job, get a job with a company like an Intel or Google or something like that? And you're saying, yeah, people have done. I mean, you're the person to ask because you actually have worked with these. It's kind of hard because sometimes you ask a boot camp and they're like, yeah, well, everyone gets jobs. We place with big companies with Facebook and not, but but you're kind of like, well, yeah, I don't know, but someone like you who's actually mentoring the students, like you have a personal relationship with the students, so you know what they're doing and what's whether it's bullshit or not. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you, is because I think people need to understand, like intellectually, being a software developer for a long time, I know it's possible. I know it's certainly possible, right? But I think a lot of people don't believe it.
Yeah, and I think part of they don't believe it also is because they don't believe they can do the job. And I always ask them then, do you know what the job's even like? Like, do you know what people really look for in a junior developer? Because you and me both know a junior developer, I'm not expecting crap out of them. Like, they're here. Like, what am I really going to get out of them? Nothing. I got to train them. I have to teach them what I want in my company, right?
Yeah.
What's the most you think anyone expects out of a junior developer? Like,
I mean, it's just like you're like, for the first few weeks, you're usually pretty much just setting up your development environment, and then after that, it's like, can you fix these bugs? Like you're just trying to learn the system enough to be able to hopefully you can fix a bug, right? But it's not like you're trying to build a whole architecture or system or I think I remember. Like the first time I got kind of a junior, what I would call a junior developer position. I mean, heck, it was actually not even a junior. I mean, it was more like a regular, or it might have even been a senior, titled as a senior position. I mean, it was laughable. I was afraid that I was going to have to do all this stuff, and it was basically like, hey, just kind of try and figure this out, and we have this bug for you to fix. And I was thinking, wow, I don't like all this stuff I studied. I didn't even need to know. Like, I basically don't even really need to know what a class is. Like, I just need to like you know, be able to toggle some if statements and add. But I mean, it wasn't quite that extreme. But it was definitely, the bar was much, the bar at the interview in almost every job that I've been at has been much higher than what the actual job was. When I got to the job, I was like, really? This
Yeah.
is what I feared. So
I'm right there with you. Actually, I have a funny story that I think you'll like, and I think a lot of people listening will like, because it's easy for us to sit up here, as experienced developers and just be like, oh yeah, the job's easy. But I was in their shoes and I felt the exact same thing. And even in your story, I walked into that job first day going, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know, but I'm here. I'm here my first job. I don't know if I can do it, but I'm going to try. And what's really comical is my job now normally revolves around mean stacks and that mean stack JS framework I built, which I love. But I didn't start there. I started with Java. And what's actually the funny part is,
hold on one second. I want to plug your thing real quick because so everyone, if you're not familiar with what Jason's talking about, I want to plug his thing because it's really awesome. Go to it's meanstackjs.com, right?
You got it.
All right. Yeah. Go to meanstackjs.com and check that out. He's actually built an actual framework that is actually being used by a lot of companies. It's really, really well thought out. So
thank you. Yeah. And so that's what I do now. I'm fortunate. I've molded my job into what I actually love and I'm passionate about every single day. But starting out, my company I initially started out with, they tried to train me in Java. And what's really comical is I actually was in a training class with about 40 or 50 people. And I was one of 2 people that failed Java. And they had to put me through remedial Java class.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Because my college was a .NET and a Python shop.
Yeah.
We didn't touch Java. So when I got to Java, it was like, what is this? And I failed it so miserably at work. And I thought they were going to fire me. And I was a junior developer.
Right.
To find out, they're like, no, it's okay. We really like you. We think you're a great person. Just keep working hard. You'll get this. And they paid me to go through remedial classes on their time because they believed in me. And that goes back to, right, like, what do they really expect out of junior developers? Nothing. They expect you to learn because I failed and look where it got me. Now I'm building frameworks and running projects and doing stuff in that mean stack framework.
Yeah. Yeah. The interview is the hardest part. That's honestly the hardest part, really.
Yeah.
So what about the kind of ages and men, women? What kind of makeup do you see of the students that you're mentoring that have gone through the boot camp? Old people, young people?
So I see a little bit of everything, which is kind of nice. I really enjoy. I work with. It used to be a little more 50-50 men and women. Recently, it's turned like 60 men, 40 women. And that's just because recently I've taken on some more men, but generally right around 40, 60, 50, 50, somewhere around then from a gender perspective.
Wow,
and
that's surprising. Yeah,
I know, right? I say I know, right? Like I'm surprised. I'm not really, because it's like I see it in the trenches. Like there's a lot more women developers coming on, and they are very good at what they do.
Yeah,
And so, from a age perspective, I actually am seeing a lot in the middle. I get my occasional 20-year-old. At the same time, I get my occasional 60-year-old and 50-year-old. And people go, "You have a 60-year-old?" Yes, I've had some older men come through, and they've been great. But I'm seeing right around my 40s. I'm seeing a lot of people around their 40s come through. And I know some of the other mentors at Thinkful have a lot younger students sometimes, but I'm seeing a good mix, and I'm seeing kind of like right around the middle, around 40 years old, even a little younger sometimes. But that's kind of like the main age I'm seeing right now. So I'm not seeing people who have been in their job 2 years and realize they don't want it anymore. I'm seeing a lot more people who have been in their job for 10, 20 years going, I'm done with this. Right?
Yeah.
I want something more challenging. I want to build something that matters or be able to create stuff.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, so career change, people that are coming through, and even someone in their 60s. I mean, there's really no reason. I think sometimes I get emails all the time and people are like, oh, I'm like 40 or 50. Can I become a programmer still? And I'm like, you can, if you're 60, it doesn't even matter. I mean, so you spend 1 year learning and going in boot camp when, let's say that you're 60, 65. So then you're 66 now and you get a job, and now you got, I mean, how long are you going to work? Probably, you know, at least till you're maybe 75 if you want to do this. You got plenty of time. Like that's, I mean, by time, I mean, just going from 65 to 75, like that's 10 years. You could become a top-notch, like expert developer. I mean, most developers that are teaching other developers don't have 10 years experience. Like that's, it's plenty of time to have a very, very successful career as a software developer. Right? It's not like becoming a doctor where you have to go to medical school, you know, for 4 years and then be a whatchamacallit, not a nightly, what do they call it, where you do your whatever your I forget what it's called now, and orderly, or no, is it orderly? I don't know what it is, but for another 4 years before you can actually practice, right? So
yeah, you know what's interesting, and here's where I want to keep it real as possible in the sense of I don't want to just talk about, oh yeah, 60-year-olds get jobs. I want to tell you also the bad side, the slight bad side of it. Like there is sometimes age discrimination in the sense of they're older. Oh, I don't know if they're going to work that long. And specifically with my older students, I do see that, and that does happen. But you know, I actually think they found some of the most joy coming out of Thinkful and finding the job because, yeah, they ran into the interviews where people wanted them, but then they realized how long they're actually going to be working, didn't want them.
right,
but then it comes to fruition that keep looking for what you want, and I keep iterating that over and over. And specifically, my older ones have found companies that want them for their experiences in life and their ability to mentor people, not in a programming sense, but ability to mentor them through decisions and work-life balance and the things that they've experienced through life. That then you pair that with the programming, and they want some of the older people because they can teach their younger developers, not necessarily development, but how to work through people, how to work through businesses, how to work through problems, how to deal with things. And specifically, my oldest one, he actually has a really great job now where they want him for his experience in life and development experience. And so, yeah, age discrimination happens, but you can still find what you're looking for. Age doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah. No, that's very true. I mean, all kinds of discrimination happens, but again, it comes down to the kind of relationship thing. Also, it's like, you don't want to be with someone who would discriminate against you, right? Like, it doesn't make sense. So you don't want to be in that situation. But yeah, there's definitely a benefit, to having that. And in fact, a lot of times, in my career, I've coached a lot. I've had a lot of people that are like, early 20s, hotshot developers. And it's like, and that's why I wrote book like soft skills and whatnot, is because like the people skills, the soft skills are way more important. It's like, yeah, you could be really good and really technically competent, but if you can't deal with people, you can't work on a team, you can't you can't control your emotions and you can't control yourself and actually get shit done. It doesn't matter because you're not going to be effective. So.
No, I totally agree. And your books, I want to make sure we give you a point to point, a spot to point and plug it. No, I seriously, I recommend this book all the time. And your soft skills one, I plug this one more often than not now. And I say plug, it's not even like a plug. It really helps them. Like what you've done here truly helps these people out because I can't always be there to answer questions, Right. And your YouTube videos answer majority of the questions, but then some people like to read, and it really helps. And that's where, you've done a fantastic thing that I love to put into all these students and really help them out. And that's something that all my students always say is they've loved, getting the resources from you and watching your videos and getting immense help from what you're doing.
Cool. Well, I appreciate that, Jason. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Yeah, it's good that
Go ahead. In and out there. I lost you for a second. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Yep. I'm back.
What were you asking?
Oh, no, I wasn't asking something. I was just saying it's good that you've got, some other resources to point your students to. That was one of the things when I was putting together that book is I wanted to make sure that there was some kind of a book that, for a developer that I would call like a complete guide for your career. So I'm glad to see it being put to good use.
Oh yeah, and it really is. It helps. I think more often than not helps a lot of the developers with confidence.
Mhm.
Wouldn't think it, but confidence is a big issue for a lot of people. Like, I get being a human being, it's hard to always have confidence. It's hard to always just be super confident in yourself. But coming into the field, I realize that's one of the problems, and that's one of the things I think your book subtly, or even, it addresses. And that's something that a lot of people, I think, should take note of, that you should always have confidence in yourself to do this. If you believe it, then you can definitely do it.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I think, I firmly believe, like, if I were starting off as a software developer today, I would absolutely enroll in a boot camp, because I firmly believe that someone can do this. Like, if they actually put in the work, if they actually go through and take the time and really are serious about it, there's really no reason why you couldn't do this, right? It's not a scam. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It's not like you literally, it's immersion, right? I mean, because these students, like for Thinkful, how long? What's the kind of program? Like, I think there's a couple of different options, but most people are enrolled in what, the full-time program?
So there's two main options right now. And the main, I guess the one I see more often now is what's called Flex.
Uh-huh.
Flex Bootcamp. They might have renamed it recently, but it's called Flex and Full-Time. There's a full-time boot camp starting once every month, and has about 10 people in it. You go to class 8 hours a day with
Okay.
a teacher and 2 TAs. And then you have throughout the day a couple workshops. You have some, what is it, peer, what's it when you, why am I drawing a blank on the programming?
Like a peer project or something like that?
What is it, peer programming?
Pair programming.
Yeah, that. I don't know why I lost that. You do that through the day with the full time. Once you're done, you can take an hour break or whatnot. But after that, 8 hours is done with your class of your 10 people. Then you come to your mentor for anywhere from a half hour to an hour, for 4 days a week. And
Okay.
then well, I'll get on to like what else I do from a mentor perspective, but that's the full time. The other option is part-time/flex. And that is where you kind of do it on your own time. They give you 6 months. You get 3 hours a week with a mentor, and you go through the curriculum at your own speed. The one thing they ask is that you try to spend around 20 hours a week to work on the curriculum, because that's what we found in studies. I do believe that it's around, you need a minimum of 20 hours a week to be successful, and that's minimum, and that's like passing by. So the more you can put, the better.
Right. Yeah.
But so that's Flex. And so for over the 6 months, you get 3 hours a week with someone like me. At the same time, even in the full time, you could get the 2 hours to 4 hours a week with someone like me as well in the full time. And that's just where, what do you need? And it breaks down to what I've seen is, how do you need to be held accountable?
Right.
Can you hold yourself accountable, or do we need to hold you accountable?
Right.
We need to hold you accountable. You need to go to full time. Because they're on you like crazy. There's a great program manager, Teresa. She's absolutely fantastic, stays on top of everything, and does a phenomenal job making sure everyone going through it is very successful at what they do, and putting in the work and really staying on top of her students and caring about her students. Now, she's the program manager of that specific class, but then like I'm the mentor of one of the students, and then I stay with them. And I hold them extra accountable because I see him every day. No matter what, I see him every day.
Right.
And,
Okay.
So I see full-time is very accountable if you want to be held accountable. Flex, if you can hold yourself accountable, you can do that all day long. Like that, I know you can hold yourself accountable, John, but a lot of people, like I even meet in my own workplace, like they have a hard time being held accountable. And so like something like full-time would be great for them. But like you would be fine with Flex. And so, I mean, what kind of questions do you think people have around the two? Like, what do you think people are wanting to know about either one?
That's a good question. So, well, I think maybe just kind of how it works, right? Because I think it's kind of interesting. Like, I think most people wouldn't think that they would have a personal mentor, which I thought was really cool. I don't know if other boot camps do it, but the idea of having, like, it's not just you're going through the program, like you're having someone like yourself who can actually answer questions, is going to help you, like, make sure that, whatever coaching that you need to get through the program, answer any of the questions that you have. That's a pretty cool component. What other, or what do you do as the, like, what does the mentor do? I think that's probably the.
Let me walk you through some of it then, because there is a specific reason, and I've told a lot of people this in my Q&As who've ever shown up at Thinkful, that I do this because I love to do this. Like, I do this because I enjoy this. I don't do this because I need to. I work for Thinkful because I believe in their product and what they're doing. And I believe that at the end of the day, they'll do whatever it takes to make you successful, which is why I enjoy working as a mentor so much for them, because they let me and allow me to do whatever it takes to make sure you're successful in whatever it is you do. And so, because there's a times when you need extra time, there's a times when you don't, and there's times when you just need 2 hours from me at one given point. We do whatever it takes to be successful. Well, let's talk about like what is a typical, like what's it look like going through the course. So it's kind of interesting when you start out. People kind of like, if we're going to use the top of the screen to the bottom, when people start out, they need me. And I'm going to talk general first. So like they need a lot out of the mentor in the beginning, kind of in the middle.
Right.
And they get through the JavaScript, they get through the HTML. Okay, it's not too bad, And then they get into like Node, and like it skyrockets. So they need me in a lot of questions.
Yeah.
They start getting through the Node, and they start understanding it comes back down, and they start getting the hang of it. And then they get to React and go skyrocketing straight back up. And then they start going through, and it starts coming back down. And then it goes to data structures and algorithms and kind of levels out.
Okay.
And so there's a kind of a like, and I draw that in the sense of it's one of the easiest ways I have to show that, you need me, you don't need me too bad, but then you need me really bad. And I'm there for you 24/7 whenever you need me to, oh, you don't need me that bad, to, oh, you need me again. And so as we start through the course, it looks like this. You start with some curriculum, and the curriculum is designed to kind of get you there and get you to learn some stuff, but at the same time, have you research just a little bit more so that you have to go to Google and learn some stuff on your own. Okay. To go through. The curriculum isn't like bulletproof. It's meant to be there to lead you to water to drink, right? But you need to supplement some other stuff. So you work on learning some JavaScript and then learn some jQuery. And then they generally put you through like a capstone. And you'll go through the capstone and you'll kind of then you'll jump into the next section. And you'll go through the HTML, the CSS, and then you'll bring it back all over again for a larger capstone. And then that's one whole area. And generally when we meet on a day-to-day basis, I'm going to ask, what did you do your homework, whatever it might have been? Did you do the reading? Did you do your homework? What do you have to show for it? At the same time, what questions do you have?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about what's confused you. Let's teach here. And at the same time, it's not always teaching. Sometimes they need affirmations or, they need to know that they're on the right track doing the right things. At the same time, they want to see also like, how would I solve this problem? Because sometimes people get seriously stuck. And I'll walk them through. It's just like, okay, I get we're hitting a brick wall. Let me show you how to walk around it. All right. Because you can't just keep hitting this brick wall. Let's take a step, walk around it. At the same time, at the end of the sessions, I'll make sure that you know what you got to do for tomorrow. And your dashboard really reflects that and kind of tells you where you're at on your goals, how you completed it, where you're going. And so I can monitor that. But throughout all the sessions, I'm constantly looking for the homework, looking for what you're doing next. What are you confused on? What do you need help with? Do you have processes in place to be successful? If not, let's put them in place, right? How to Google better, how to find good resources, how to understand problems and solve them. And so that's kind of what one-on-one individual sessions look like. And you go from that JavaScript, HTML, CSS, jQuery into Node, and then into some React. And then you go to data structures and algorithms. And that's kind of the complete package. That's kind of the whole thing. But I'm there every step of the way doing kind of what I talked about on a day-to-day basis to make sure you stay successful. And I think that goes back to your point of why it's so unique and why it's so successful,
Yeah. Okay. I like that. And that's good. And I also like how that's a very modern program, right? I mean, the fact that you're doing Node.js and React, right? Those are the useful skills to have today. Like that's going to be a widely applicable skill set. And, if you can do front end development with React and you can do the back end stuff with Node, you're going to be able to tackle. Plus you're also sticking within one programming language, JavaScript in that case. I mean, you got to know some HTML and whatnot, and you get the data structures, but yeah, that sounds like definitely a very doable program for people, because a lot of people that see the problem that I'm finding with a lot of people that are self-taught today, or that are trying to be self-taught, and I get a lot of questions, is they're trying to do all this stuff, I'm like, what are you studying? And they're like, well, I was learning some SQL and now I'm learning some Python. And I was going to try and learn a little bit of Java, and I kind of want to build an Android app. And so I was learning that a little bit. And I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like, you can't learn all this stuff. You're not going to learn anything. You need to have a focused plan and a path, with a single programming language and technology, and learn how to develop with that. And then you can learn some other stuff later, but you got to have it. So it's kind of good to have something that's very, very focused like that.
Oh yeah, and it's needed. I get a lot of students all the time asking, well, can I go learn this? No.
Yeah.
No. We're gonna focus on this right here.
Right. It'd be like trying to learn like a foreign language, like two foreign languages at the same time. Just no, don't do that. One is hard enough. Like, immerse yourself in it as much as possible.
Yeah, and
Cool.
it's really neat to see the fundamentals of JavaScript being built upon, because that's, like you said, that's where a lot of things are going, and people don't always realize it's JavaScript. Like, this is all JavaScript, and
Yeah.
there's server side. You can build desktop apps with it now. You can build, React Native. You can build mobile apps, websites, API. You can build it all, and
Yeah.
if you just build on the fundamentals of that and really focus, you can be really phenomenal with this stuff.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Well, I think this has been helpful. I think this will help a lot of people. I'll probably be doing, I've partnered up with Thinkful, and just so you guys know, to be completely transparent here, I'm going to be doing, so if you're thinking about signing up for Thinkful, I think by the time this video comes out, you might want to wait like a day or two, or make sure you're on my email list. But I'll probably put a YouTube video out also doing I think we're going to offer some kind of a scholarship to Thinkful to cut the application fee down. I'm not sure exactly what the deal is, but we'll be doing some kind of a promotion. And it's because one of the things too that I vetted out a lot of boot camps, and I want, I got enough questions from the audience, from a lot of people that you guys have been asking me, emailing me, like, what boot camp, which one would you get behind, which one can you recommend, John? And so, after talking to Jason, who's had so much success, and I trust Jason, I mean, this guy is the guy I trust, that like, he's helping people, he's mentoring. So, and talking with Thinkful and talking with some other, successful graduates and stuff, it seems like a really good program. So it's one that I feel confident to recommend. And that's why I want to have Jason on here too, just so that, we could get his perspective on it, because he's actually there, like, working with the students. In fact, he's probably working with more, like, he probably knows more about it than most people that you would ask. Because if you ask one student going through the program, they're going to have their experience, but he's seeing the struggle. I mean, he's actually seeing the struggles of all the students that are being assigned to him that are coming through the program, and then seeing their success. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and I want to point out a couple things, that they really want you to be successful at Thinkful. I want you to be successful. Like, that's not my main job. Like I said before, I do this because I'm very passionate about it. But they want you to be successful. That's why I believe in this product, and they want you to get the most out of the program and become successful. Because the more you're successful, the more they're successful. And a couple things. One thing I want to point out is, like, people forget. Did you know we have Q&A sessions and workshops? Did you know that?
Oh yeah, you mentioned that to me, but yeah, talk about that. That's interesting.
That's one part that I have actual small YouTube video on it that I just put up, like, how to get the most out of Thinkful. And there's something people always forget, and that is Q&A and workshops that Thinkful offers that I haven't seen anywhere else. And it's like, I host a mean stack with my mean stack framework, mean stack JS framework workshop every Sunday. And then, like, every Tuesday night, I do career Q&A and interview Q&A. And then I kind of throughout the week, sometimes I'll just do random Node.js Q&As, maybe some pure JavaScript ones, whatever people really need at that time. But these Q&As, like, they're just open hours, where you just come. I'm sitting in a room waiting for you guys to come ask me questions.
But do you have your shirt on or off?
Sadly, I don't look like you, so it's on. I'm not there yet. Let me get that yet. We'll start doing. I'll make sure they implement that. But, like, that's how you can get the most out of it. Like,
Yeah.
people don't realize that, you could come talk to me 3 hours a week, or just listen in on what I'm saying 3 hours a week, and, like, every week, and it doesn't cost you any extra. And you can sit there and listen to some of the top people in the industry. Just sit there and talk. And, like, if no one's in the room, you can ask them any question you want. Like, when I sit there, like I have whatever you call it, bias, or like I care for the people who come in every week. Like one recently is Zachary. I've seen the man all the time. Noah and Elaine. Like recently, those are people. But on average, every couple months span, I have people that come religiously every week to the Q&As. And I am always willing to help those people out. And I love that they come and network and they come show up and they ask questions. And sometimes they'll just listen to learn. That is how you get the most out of the program. You do things like that. You study with the mentors. You go to all the Q&As. You go to the workshops. You learn absolutely as much as you can. And you can be extremely successful. And that gets lost a lot. And they just think the curriculum is going to get me through. No, you work hard and do all these things. That's what's going to make you successful. That process.
Exactly. Yeah. No, yeah, I appreciate you mentioned that, because that's, I think, and we talked about a little bit at the beginning, but definitely, like, I think if you know, and I would caution anyone watching this, if you have the mindset that you're just going to show up and sign up for the program and that's going to guarantee you a job, and that's like, you just do that and then you get it, then that's probably a bad, I mean, a lot of people do that in college now today, and they're getting, unfortunately, a lot of the millennial generation is getting a harsh dose of reality when it's like, well, wait a minute, I paid my money and I went to school and I got my degree. Don't I get a job? No, it doesn't work. It's the same thing with the boot camp. It's not like you just pay the money and show up. It's you pay the money, you show up, you work your ass off, you do everything that Jason is recommending, go to the Q&A session, spend the time when you have a session with your mentor, have done your homework, actually have questions ready, you know, about, so that you can get the most out of that. And then when it's time to find the job, make the networking, make the connections, put in, you know, practice doing the interview. I think Thinkful does some interview practices, right? Like mock interviews and stuff.
No, I think I dropped the ball in answering that part when I was talking about the process. There's 5 interviews you do over the course of your curriculum.
Okay.
About 1 a month, and they're geared to get you ready for interviews. Yeah, so we do that. And we actually have a career services department that will actually, once you're done with the curriculum, you'll transition over to them, and they'll help you with resume, interview prep, and extra things that you need at the end. And
right.
So from start to finish, we got you.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and that's what you got to do if you're willing to do all that stuff. And in fact, I think if I recall correctly, if you're willing to do all that stuff and you're a full-time student, if you can't get a job, they actually like you don't have to pay anymore. Or isn't there some kind of like guarantee program or something like that where? So I think there's something like that. I should have all the details, but
yeah,
this is more of an informal interview.
So unless they changed it. Maybe you can edit this out. I do believe even for Flex, they do that too, because that was the big thing they've hung their hat on for a long time. But actually, I had one student go through the full time, did everything they said. And the key is, you know, you have up to 6 months after you're done with boot camp. If you don't get a job, they'll give you full money back. And he had reached out to me at the very end. He's like, I still didn't get a job. They're going to give me my money back. And what's really odd is, as soon as he gets the money back, literally 2 weeks later, a company calls, he goes through 1 or 2 interviews, job.
Yeah.
Thinkful was totally okay with it. They're like, you know, you lived up to what we said.
Yeah.
So if it was past 6 months, here's your money back. And they gave him his money back. And he was so ecstatic, and it worked out perfectly for him. But they do that. I've seen it.
Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, it's unfortunate that, you know, that it took 6 months, but at the same time, it's good to know like that you've actually had that experience, so you know that they actually stood by it in that case and didn't give them a big hassle and everything about it. So so I mean, that's, you know, that's the thing, and that's again, you know, I think a program like that just goes to show, like, you know, I think a lot of people get the wrong impression about boot camps. It's like there's like this money grab and like, you know, just trying to, you know, sucker these students that think that they can become developers. But, you know, if you're willing to like guarantee, like the goal is for you to get the job. Like that's good for everyone. No one wants to like spend all this time in mentoring, and they got to pay you to do the mentoring. So like, you know, they're out money. You know, someone has to ask for a refund because they can't get a job. So everyone wants you to get a job, but you got to do the work, you know, to get there. So
yeah, there's the checkpoints there to hold you accountable. So it doesn't just happen. You got to work hard.
Cool. Well, hopefully, hopefully as many, like I said, I think we'll have a special offer with Simple Programmer in the next couple of days. Check your email, make sure you sign up. I think there's a link in the description for the newsletter sign up. We might even have the promotion out by now. If so, there'll be a link. But we're going to offer some kind of a scholarship directly from Simple Programmer because I want you guys to be successful. So we're gonna be doing that for the program to be able to make it so that you can enroll, and hopefully as many of you as possible can get Jason as your mentor, because he's definitely an awesome mentor. I think he's been like one of the top mentors at Thinkful, if not the top mentor at Thinkful, and has really I've been hearing his success stories and just all the cool stories from his students and stuff. So so
I feel
I
like
appreciate you. Go ahead.
So I want to put this out there to anyone listening before you end it, and I'll take the crown of the top part-time mentor, because I know there's some guys who are full-time who just do a ton of people. Yeah, but I'll take the title for top part-time. But let me put this out there for the people listening, because the last time you dropped my name, and you just dropped my name, and I had a list of 5 people waiting for me.
There you go.
I imagine something like that might happen again potentially, and if that does, and I can't get to you, feel free to reach out to me. Go ahead and send me an email at Jay. Do you want to just put it in the description?
Yeah, I mean, you can say it so that we've got you.
Jay Humphrey at thinkful.com. What I'm willing to do, because the people who care and the people who want to try and the people who work hard, I'm here for you. Like, I'm here for you. I love that. And so if I can't mentor you, but you still want to do a one-off session with me and maybe, talk about a plan, get things in line, and get you set up for success at Thinkful, even if you're at Thinkful now, feel free to reach out to me. I will gladly do a one-off session with you and help you get on, make sure you're on the right track to everything you want, and give you extra tips and advice. Even some advice I've learned from this guy right here. I'll give you all, and I want to make sure you guys are successful. If you're working hard, I want to make sure I'm working hard for you. So
cool.
Feel free to reach out to me if you can.
All right, I appreciate that, Jason. I think that's a generous offer from you. So cool. All right, man. Well, appreciate you taking the time, and I just appreciate the work that you're doing, helping people at Thinkful, and we didn't have really time to talk about, but Jason has been one of my coaching clients, and he's just like he's had phenomenal success. I mean, it's been ridiculous, from real estate to fitness to like everything. He's just been awesome. So that's another reason why I can very much recommend Jason. Like, if you guys get to Thinkful and you can get on his waiting list, get him as a mentor, because I know that he's a bulldog. He's a fucking bulldog. So, all right, Jason, man, it was good talking to you.
Hey, it was a pleasure, and I can't wait till the next time you interview me, except for my real estate empire and my business empire. That's the next interview I'm waiting for. I can't wait for that one.
You got it, man. All right. Take care, man.
Having me.
Yeah.